ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I just assumed all of your genders. This is Bigfoot Odyssey's Researchers Report Night, but special Spook Week. With me, as always, producer and co-host of the report, Miss Daniela Iolo. How are you, Daniela?
I'm good, thank you.
And our special guest for this evening, the Ouija brothers, Steve and Griff. How are you, gentlemen? Welcome, welcome.
Good, man, good.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. Enjoy and honored to have you here. Like I said, I got some great stuff for you guys tonight. You guys know the drill. If you're in the chat, keep it clean for us. You know, we do have the best moderators on YouTube. We'd like to say that anyway. They do take pride in timing people out. So just be respectful. No swearing, no fighting with each other. And like I said, just be respectful. And we'll get through this quite well, I think. All right, Daniela, the show is yours.
Oh, right. Well, good to have you here. Griffo, isn't it? And Steve. So tell me how...
Griff, you can
Griff, I'll call you Griff. Griff.
Yeah.
Tell me how you got to be using the word Ouija in your title.
So that was actually pretty funny how that come about, wasn't it, Jace? So we were sitting at 30 East Drive. Now, if any of you guys don't know, 30 East Drive is one of England's most haunted houses. It's up there with some of the best in the world. You know, we've had some incredible things happen over the years that we've been doing paranormal research, ghost hunting, whatever you want to call it. And me and Jace, we were sitting at 30 East Drive. We'd just done 4 nights at this location. And we were sitting there and we was thinking, you know what? We should go, let's do this. Let's go everywhere. Let's go all around England. Let's get a camcorder and let's record everything so we can show people what we actually experienced and what we've captured. So then we started to thinking of names. And, you know, we're like massive wrestling fans and gamers. So we was trying to think of names like, you know, Stone Cold Paranormal and, you know, just things like that. Nothing was real good. But then out of nowhere, we just kind of come out of the Ouija brothers because of the Mario brothers, you know, gaming. And he's got a brother called Luigi. And obviously a Ouija, it's just like play on words. So we're just like, well, let's just call ourselves the Ouija brothers. It's quite like a different name. And it also fits in with the paranormal theme. And thankfully, no one else had used that name, because trying to come up with a name in today's YouTube society, it's horrendous, as you can imagine, because every name is took up. You know, it's something paranormal, whatever. So we just come out and was like a Ouija brothers. And we just go with it now. We called the Ouija brothers, and it's stuck. I don't mind it. We do get a lot of people say to us though all the time. They go, "Well, why is the Ouija board not on your channel?" And it's like
it used to be though. It did used to be a lot, man. We used to use the Ouija board all the while, but as we become more and more into the paranormal, it's like the one woman said to me and say, you become more skeptic the more you become a paranormal investigator, because
it's a great
the more you do it.
Yeah,
it's a great.
Thank you.
I thought it was fantastic when Daniela told me. I thought you guys were like, man, that's awesome. What a great name.
But the best thing is that actually our name that we chose together when we were sitting at 30 East Drive, the actual name that we chose was perfect for us, and it's not got like paranormal in it. It's not got like ghost. It's not got detectives. It's not got any of those aspects of like the paranormal within it, except for the Ouija board. But it fits perfectly, and it's so unique. So that's why we love it so much.
Definitely. So obviously, you've become. Are you saying you're becoming more skeptic of what you're looking into?
Yeah, I think we're still believers, 100%, because me and Jace, Griff, we've experienced some things that we just cannot explain whatsoever. The paranormal is very real, but whatever the hell it is, I have no idea what it is. I don't know if it's spirits, if it's some kind of alien. I don't know, like, or the glitch in the Matrix. I have no idea what it is.
Yeah,
but something's going on.
the thing is like me and Steve says, it's like we're skeptical, but it's not skeptical to the point that we don't believe. It's skeptical to the point that we don't take everything as paranormal. We research, and that's what we're supposed to do as investigators, as people that have come across and trying to you know, like project our beliefs on everyone who watches us. We have to investigate. We have to sit there and take the time, and we can't just hear like a and then turn around and be like, oh you know, we can't do that. That's not what we can do. We have to go towards the noise. We have to go towards what we've heard, and we have to investigate, because if we didn't investigate, if we wasn't curious, if you don't ask questions, then
you'll think everything's paranormal.
You'll think everything's real.
You'll think, you know, I mean, just a house settling, creaking. It's like, oh my God, did you hear that? And it's like, yeah, well, we're in a house that's 600 years old. It's going to creak.
Yeah, always ask the questions. This is what we say to everyone. Keep asking, because you don't learn. You don't learn if you don't ask. So you have to ask. You have to consider. You have to be curious. So you have to go out and you have to do it. So you
guys do the legwork. You do the investigation. You present the facts and let people decide for themselves.
Yes, we never ever turn around and say that is 100% paranormal. We never turn around and we never make up your mind. We always let you choose.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, when we do replays, I just like use question marks, and most of the time, we just go, well, we don't know what it is. You know, what's your thoughts? And you know what? A lot of people have come to us and said, oh, well, this is what this is. You know, maybe if it's like a camera lens reflection that creates like a little distorted image. And I'm like, thank you so much. We'll pin that comment, and that basically that knowledge stays with us. But a lot of the time, we don't actually go, my God, this is 100% paranormal. Yep. But there's a lot of things, because that's quite a big statement to put out there, isn't it? You know,
it really is.
But I do believe that me and Griff have caught things on camera that we cannot explain, and it is, we believe it's paranormal.
Well, the thing is, it's like you say, it's like we've heard these things, and we can only decide for ourselves. It's like a perfect example is we'll always talk about 30 East Drive, and we had me and Steve's the person I trust more than anything in the paranormal. We don't really do group investigations. We don't really do investigations where we can't trust the people that we're with. But there was this one particular time, Steve was in the kitchen, and Dr. Kieran O'Keefe, the most skeptical man that's ever lived, was standing watching Stephen.
He's a parapsychologist.
If you don't know who Dr. Kieran O'Keefe is, he's a parapsychologist who used to work for Most Haunted, and he's the guy that outed Most Haunted for being fake, and that's why he wasn't in it anymore. So this is what I mean. His honesty is paramount. So he was watching Stephen. I was in the front room with 500 people watching me live, and we had this on the door in between me and Stephen. And Steve thought it was me, and I thought it was Stephen, and we're just there like this. And then I said, Steve, was that you made that noise? And then Dr. Kieran O'Keefe doesn't turn around and say, oh, that's paranormal. He says, now we've just heard a noise.
Yeah,
we need to investigate this noise. It sounded like someone was knocking, but can we be sure that that's what it is? Yeah. And I think it surprised him as well as all of us, and that's one of my favorite paranormal experiences that we've had. But yeah, it's like always just, you know, we're just honest with everyone with that kind of stuff.
It's the same with the Bigfoot subject. You know, there's no experts. Nobody knows what it is. Or
well, what do we say, Steve?
What do we say?
No,
what you say?
An expert in anything, because you can't. There's no like solid evidence unless you've seen it yourself. And then if you say I've seen this, there's 20 other people telling you that you're full of it. So,
yeah, there's no type specimen to study in either one of the subjects, spirit world or Sasquatch. You know, it's But the approach you have, and I don't know who said it, but it rings true. If you present everything you do in a sphere of truth, your opinions will be accepted as knowledge. And that's probably why you have so many people follow you, is because you have your opinion. Obviously, you might make comparisons, but you don't say, this is what this is. You let people decide for themselves. And that's what people want to do. People are smart. You know, this is not a bunch of idiots that look into this subject. And they can tell when you're being disingenuous, you know, or when you're being overly expert about something that there's no possible way for you to know what you're saying. A lot of these, I'm not saying you guys, but you know, the ones that make these absolute statements that this is what this is. And no, smart people are watching you, and then they're not going to watch you anymore.
I mean, it's so hard to do the paranormal because, you know, there's a lot of other channels out there and they all scream at you, this is 100% paranormal, this 100. Is this, and it's like every single video there's activity kicking off left, right and center. Me and Griff, you know, we had a good run of like months worth, you know, a couple of months worth of videos where we got absolutely nothing, but we still went out and I still documented it and I still tried to make the best video possible, even if it was just me and Griff just having a bit of a laugh and, you know, just people seeing how we actually are as friends. Because if you capture nothing, like no evidence, it makes your video a lot harder. And I think it's best that we show them investigations. Because, you know, we spend a lot of money doing this, going to these locations and we record all these places. We want to show people the truth of, listen, just because you go to one of the world's most haunted houses does not mean you are guaranteed to get activity, because it does not happen like that, unfortunately. I mean, me and Griff would love that, you know, if every video was filled to the brim of activity non-stop. So I think we just wanted to show everything. I mean, we had a comment today telling us, saying, you shouldn't put up this video because nothing happened in it whatsoever. I only put up videos when stuff happens. And I'm like, but we're at one of the most haunted locations in England. People want to see what happened. And if nothing happens, then me and Jace want to kind of educate, I wouldn't say educate people, but make people more aware of what it really is like going on these investigations, because what most of the time nothing happens.
Well, the thing that makes me laugh is like you said, the experience, Stu, about people. But what we try and show on our channel with the Ouija brothers, we try and show everyone at home that it is not just all chaos. It's not bells, whistles going off all the while. We sit there for 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours. And you can get nothing, absolutely nothing. But that is not what the paranormal is. The paranormal isn't acting up for everyone. We don't portray that as the paranormal. The paranormal could be you sit in the same building as me and Steve have done for 6 nights in a row. And then on the last night, as you're about to leave, chaos breaks loose. And you're just sitting there and you're like, hold on a sec. We've been here for 5 days. And then the day we're going to leave, it knows we're leaving, so it's just messing about with us. And we walk away from these locations, and we always say to ourselves, like, that last day was the best day, because it must have knew that we was leaving, and we don't know this, but why did it happen? You know, and this is why we give it to our viewers, we give it to everyone to make up their own minds on what we've experienced. But what we do show is we show 100% of the realism behind ghost hunting. It's not, oh, you hear a click, oh no, what the hell's that? It's not that. We hear a click, we walk towards it, we start investigating.
I don't know, man. I don't know, to be honest. I crap myself quite a few times when loud noise happens.
No, but that's when it happens, like loud, when you've had shuffling next to you. I'm on about just like a click or something like that. We go towards it. We always do something to like show the viewer that ghost hunting is about investigating and not running away from it. Because how are you ever going to communicate with the other side if it is there, if it is real? How are you going to communicate with the other side if you aren't going to investigate and allow yourself to talk with that entity or talk with that spirit or talk with that jinn? How are you ever going to be investigating? How are you ever going to understand if you do not walk towards that voice?
Nah, I mean, the thing is, you can't predict how you're going to react when something actually happens. I mean, Jace, I've seen you run out of a house when something hissed in your ear. You legged it out of that house.
Yeah, but that was
so
before
fast.
we was paranormal investigators.
It still happened.
Before we was paranormal investigators, mate.
Yeah.
Have you seen me run out of a house since we become paranormal investigators?
I mean, well, I've run upstairs.
You have.
Know, I've legged it. Because the thing is, you don't know, like when you're sitting at home, you do wish, I wish I didn't run at that point. And then you do get people's like, well, that's what you're there to do, isn't it? And I'm like, yeah, I understand that. But put yourself in my position, be in these locations in the dark, call these demons and whatever, start antagonizing it. Remember, night vision cameras, it doesn't portray what it's really like. Night vision, you can see everything. But when you're there in person, you're just holding the camera, you're in total darkness. And when something moves right next to you, as loud as hell, everything just drops. Like in your body, you're like, oh my God. And you just react how you react. But then obviously it's how you deal with the reaction after, obviously you settle down and then you can try and debunk it. But I think, people's reactions, it's just how it is, unfortunately. I mean, some people
get the realism behind it, isn't it? That is the realism behind it.
But it doesn't happen because I see a lot of other videos, a lot of other channels, and they're running away every single video. And I think I've only ever ran like twice in like 2 years. It's very, very rare when it happens. But when it happens, it's flipping real. And I'm shaking. You know what I mean? I'm just shaking so much.
Yeah.
That just makes it real.
That family. The family who were there in the 60s, who started experiencing the water, and I mean, how do you think they coped? Stuff going on.
See, it's absolutely crazy. Like the old lady actually stayed there up until only about 6 years ago, and like Jean Pritchard, and she actually stayed in that house on her own for like about 10 years. About 10, 12 years. And she said that she actually locked the living room door. She didn't even go into the living room. And she only lived in 2 rooms in the house. But no one has been able to get what happened to her during them 12 years. She hasn't told anyone what's happened. But the poltergeist never left. It never left. There's these theories where people come on, experts, and they say poltergeist activity only lasts a couple of weeks, and it's always, surrounding children, and it's like tied to the original family that lived at 30 East Drive. Now, I know that isn't true because there's still something. There is still a poltergeist in that house to this day. So how does that theory work? There's another story. Have you guys ever heard of the Enfield poltergeist?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the Conjuring 2. Well, this is going to be an app. This is a world exclusive. This is right now. I am actually one of the first people in 30 years to have actually gone inside the Enfield house.
Wow.
That's legitimate.
Has it been God. Has it been boarded up then since all that?
No. Families. The original family, like she died in the house, and then since then, because it's a council house, it's not a private house. It's council. Right. So the council took over the house, and she and I mean, I don't want to go too much because I'm going to be doing this for my own video, but basically, I've been in the Enfield poltergeist house, and that place, it never stopped. When the children left, it never stopped. So that's 2 locations now.
Well, I have a question. Actually, I have a couple of questions. First, I went and watched a few minutes of your last video, and I got to say, man, it's very well edited. It's very well put together. You got some good, like, cinematography shots there. I mean, that's coming from somebody that edits a lot. So it's really good. If you haven't gone and subscribed to the Ouija Brothers on YouTube, go check it out for sure. My question is this: if before you go in, do you feel like you have to be open to this? Is it think it's more beneficial for you that there's a certain level of openness that you are like ready to receive this?
Oh,
and
yeah.
On top of that, just the second part to this question, before you go into a place, do you research as much as you can, or do you just go in blind so you don't influence your own bias?
We like to kind of go in pretty blind, to be honest.
Yeah, it's the latter.
We just like to kind of go in. We only need to know that there's activity in this location. That is enough information for me and Griff to go, right, then we don't want to know anything else, because it can kind of jeopardize a lot of stuff, because you go in there with where you're thinking, oh, well, this happened before, so now this could happen. And also, if you're told names, like names that are linked to the location, if ever you do like things like an Ouija board or EVPs or spirit boxes, you'll be listening out to them names. And remember, when you listen to a spirit box, and if people don't know what a spirit box is, the theory of it is it's basically a radio that's scanning through stations, and spirits apparently come through and manipulate the radio waves, and they talk and whatever. Now, I'm pretty skeptical of the spirit box. I don't really put too much faith into it, if you know what I mean. Because again, how can you really prove that it's spirit? Because you've got the contamination of the radio waves. But anyway, going back to that, if you're going to a location and you're using this spirit box, you'll be listening out for, just say the name John. You know, someone said, oh, there's a John linked to this location. Then you're going to be there waiting for anything that sounds like John come through the radio. And there's a lot of words. Remember, when it's distorted and it's crackly and the quality's crap, I mean, rubbish, there's a lot of time you can go, oh, did that just say John? Oh, well, there's a John in this place. And before you know it, you're thinking you've connected with a spirit there. But really, you could just be fooling yourself, or just the reality of it is just me and Griff just feel like just go in there, hope for the best. Let's see what we pick up, see what we capture. And if we do capture nothing, doesn't mean the place isn't haunted. We'll come back again and we'll try again and we'll keep coming back and we'll keep going. Because there's a lot, we've been to so many locations, 30 East Drive. We've been there over 20 times, and 60% of the time, nothing's happened there. But I'll still tell everyone it's the most haunted place I've ever been to. And if you want to go on a ghost hunt, go there, because that is probably a place where if something was going to happen in one of these locations, that is one of the places I would go to check out. And you know what? I think a lot of people can also get sucked into a lot of the history and, in a location. And a lot of the times you can find out that a lot of the history that people have told you about this location, it's all fake. It's all a lie. So you're going in there with these lies that, the people that, because they're trying to sell you a haunted experience, remember? And you go there and it was like, oh, well, this happened and that happened and whatever. And then you tell all your audience, oh, this happened and this. But then you find out later, researchers come out and go, that's all a load of garbage. It's all a lie. That's happened on a few locations we've been to. So now when we go to a location, they're like, oh, do you want to know anything? We're just like, nah, man. Let me just get some cool little shots of the place, and then we'll just do our own thing. And I think that's the best way to be, basically.
Have you,
Jace? Was that question before I left? Was that the same question?
Yeah, I think
so.
The long answer, but it was worth it. It was good.
Sorry about that.
I'm glad he did it, because I went to the toilet and everything, and I know what he said. I do have to be here to hear it. But yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's just the same as me, isn't it, Jace?
Yeah. You you eliminate that observational bias, because we all have it.
The thing is that it's like if you are influenced on any channel anywhere, if you have to deal with these like experiments, we'll call them, as like say like you got on a spirit box, or you did a Ouija board, or you did an EVP recording, and you know the name as John. Even the slightest noise that sounds like, if you could see, it could be like, ah, and you could be like, hang on a sec, that sounds like John.
Yeah.
Because I've heard the name John. And you can go over this. You can go over this aspect all the while. So for me and Steve, it's the best way forward is to not research anything, because did you tell them the prime example of the village farm?
No, I didn't go into that.
So basically, we went to a place called the Village Farm in Skegness, and we went in there blind, and we didn't ask for anything, and we had Edith and another name come up. If you can watch the episode and you'll find out what it is. It's called the Village Farm in Skegness, and we had these two names come up, and we didn't know anything about them. And we was just like, well, who could that be? And then at the end of the night, the people that researched the place, they turned.
No, they actually, they run the place, don't they?
Yeah, they run
the
place. They asked us if we get any names, and we said these two names, and they said they're actually on the photos in the room that you was in, and their names are on the back of the pictures, and we didn't see any of this. Right. So for us, that is like a win-win, because we didn't research it. We had these names come through. Then the people that have researched it can turn around to you and say, these are the actual names of the people that live there.
It's got to be hard to do when you go to a place that's well known, that has a history in it, and you know. History. So I mean, that's you can't do it every time, obviously, especially when you go to these well-known places.
Yeah. The thing is with the well-known places is that if you go to a well-known place, you will know that place because of like Most Haunted or Ghost Adventures, or there's a lot of groups that do these places, and you have watched these people before. So we do say we don't go in with a bias, but if you've already watched this thing, you turn around and say, well, they had that on this show, they had that on that show. So it's
but
what about Pendle Hill and is it Tynesdale Barn and
we've never ever done Pendle Hill
ever.
And it kind of puts me off, to be honest, because it's a mountain, and you're up in the sky. What activity are you going to capture apart from a hell of a lot of wind? Everything's just going to be contaminated. I mean, I think it would be an amazing view, and it'd be a really cool trip to go and do it. I know all the the history about the Pendle Hill, and it's amazing. But I've seen so many other people go up, and it's a nightmare to watch a video because it's so high up in the sky. It's just everything's just distorted.
The old, farmhouse, though, isn't there? That's supposed to be
there's the house, so that would be pretty interesting to do, is like the farmhouse. But I know a lot of people, they see as on the bucket list is to climb up and do the actual Pendle Hill section. But we like to kind of do a lot of locations where it's actually indoor, because it's a lot more controlled. I have done investigations where we go out in the woods and things like that, and it's creepy. There's no two ways about it. It's creepy as hell because you don't know who's about in the woods, and you're hearing all these noises and stuff. But when it comes down to actual activity, it's very, very little, because you've got the wildlife moving, you've got birds up in the trees. How can you actually put any of that down to being real 100% paranormal activity? I've seen channels where people have heard an evil scream and they've run off and they've titled the video "Demon Screams in the Woods." Sure. Now, if you just go onto YouTube and just type in "female fox screaming," I don't know if ever you've heard a female fox screaming when they're mating or whatever. It's petrifying. It's terrifying. But again, these people know what they're doing, and they was like, "Oh, well, we can just call it a demon," when in fact it's just a fox. So again, when it comes to outdoor locations, we try and stay away from them as much as possible.
Yeah.
But
what about go on, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I'd like to do the Pendle Hill, like the little farmhouse, kind of like near the bottom of it.
Yeah, definitely. What about personal experiences then? have you had anything happen?
Yeah, let's get into the scary stuff.
Oh God. Jace?
My scariest experience. Oh, but the thing is that I've got like there's a few like ranges of scary for me. It's like we've been to a location where I've just been continuously terrified emotionally, not even like within myself. Just like I've got to a location, I've gone, I don't like it here, and then nothing's happened, but it's just been constant like suppression since I got there, and it's constant like there's something going to happen. It's scary. This is this. This is that. But for me, there's a lot of places that I really love. Because the thing is the reason that I do this is it's not like an adrenaline junkie kind of thing. It's because I'm so curious about the unknown that I really just want to continue until I find an answer, and I feel that I'll be dead before I find that answer. Because I want to die, and then there's this big book, like thick. It's thick. This book's thick, and it tells me the answers to everything that I want to know. The pyramids, the Incas, the Anunnaki, the Nephilims, everything. I mean, I could go mad. I could talk all night about that kind of stuff because I'm like a massive conspiracy theorist as well. And it's so mad. Like, I'd love to just die. It sounds crazy. I'd love to die and then have this book when I die. So all the answers to tell me.
So that's your personal experience in the paranormal, Jace?
No, but I'm just saying like that. Like it's just I've gone.
But that's what the question was.
No, I've gone on to that. I've gone on to that from that.
You derailed fast. You derailed mega, man. I'm sitting here thinking, how is this a personal experience if you want to die to get a big book at the end of the rainbow?
Anyone that's watching back will understand how he got there. Just because you don't understand it now.
No, I understand, but I was questioning why are we going there?
Yeah. So anyway, I'll stop talking because I could talk about that for hours. But the scariest place.
No, personal experiences.
No, but that's what I mean. Like, I'm trying to think of the scariest place from my personal experience that I've had.
Remember when you got his stat?
Yeah, but that was fun. But I mean, it was, it was
you don't have to rate it. You don't have to rate it. Just come out with something that scared the mud out of you.
So basically, the Scariest Inn in Wales, the Wales' most oldest inn. I got in there and it was just the atmosphere. It was so like closed off and it was suppressive and stuff. That was probably the most terrified that I've been in a location. But my best personal experience to date now would be because we had the door open at Scariest Inn on us and it was creepy. But then I say East Drive because the thing is East Drive, I know we bang on about it all the while, but every time something's happened there. Like, and I was sitting upstairs, as Steve was saying, and I asked if there was a little girl in the room with me. And prior to this conversation with said entity, said jinn, said spirit, we had heard women talking on the landing. Like, this was all recorded. This is all on like audio recording, and there was like mumbling, but you couldn't make out the noises. And then I was scared enough as it was, and then everybody else went downstairs, and this is just a normal council house. Everybody went downstairs and I stayed upstairs on my own, and I was like, I'm fairly brave, let's go, let's just enjoy myself. I'll come up here, lay on the bed. I just lay there for a little bit, and I just spoke out. I was recording it at the time as well, and I spoke out and I turned around to myself and I went, is there anybody in this room with me now? And then all I heard was the loudest, strongest hiss ever in my ear. And I just went, F this. And I ran down the stairs, ran out the house. And I was just, and that was my first, like, proper interaction with something that I couldn't explain. Like, I mean, I've had loads of interactions before that, but this one was like a personal one for me because it was like something was inside my ear screaming. It was that loud. And
your phone picked it up because Griff was actually recording it. So the audio picked it. So it wasn't, like how people can get like tinnitus or, they just hear things. Griff caught it on camera.
Well,
and you can hear it sounds like a snake, doesn't it? It sounds like a snake hissing.
Well, that the whole point behind it is because I actually thought it was just a malfunction with me.
Yeah.
And I thought it was myself, so I just took it as like, oh, that might have been my ear popping, hissing, or making a funny noise. But if my phone picked it up at a distance, then how can I? Because like if something happens in your ear, it's very quiet and it's only to you on your eardrum. Whereas this recording picked it up from a distance.
So what's the belief here? So what's the belief? What's the paradigm? Where do you stand on it?
On that experience in myself, I believe that I asked for something to come forward, and it did.
And it made itself known.
And it made itself known to me, and I was just like, I can't deal with this, because we wasn't a paranormal group at the time. Yeah. And I was so like fresh and new to that, even though me and Steve had experiences before this, and I had experiences when I was a child of something walking up the stairs every night. But because it's so vague to me now, because I was only like 6-7 years old, that when that happened, it made everything seem real. And then I got that like adrenaline, but I left the house, and then I thought, well, I'm going to go back and I'm going to investigate. So, yeah, man, it was good.
Oh.
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I wouldn't have done the same thing. I might have needed some new underwear, possibly.
Again, it's so crazy. I mean, the house that we're on about, it is called 30 East Drive, the Black Monk House, the Pontefract House. And you know, I mean, from my experiences, I've had so many incredible things. I mean, and Jason, Griff, I think there's two that stand out quite a lot. And this first one actually happened a few weeks back, because we were there for 3 nights, and Griff had actually left on the 3rd night because he went on holiday. So it was just me and like this lady we work with called South. And
she's our sponsor, isn't she, Steph?
Yeah. We weren't really getting anything during the first 2 days. Like, not a lot happened. So what I decided to do was I sent out a message on Facebook and on YouTube, and I said, if anyone wants to come and meet me or to come and spend some time in 30 East Drive for a few hours, come down and check it out for free. We had about 25 people come, you know, in a small little 3-bedroomed house. There was about 25 people in the house. And all I wanted to try and do was trying to build up some energy, try and build up, you know, because I was pretty drained from being there for 3 days. And I just wanted to see if people could build up energy, or if they could just do whatever they do. And then it come to midnight, and then I kicked them all out. I was like, right, then I'm going to bed now. So I went to bed, and we had no cameras recording, because I had no intention to make a video, because we've made enough videos from 30 East Drive, and we had already done a live stream the day before. So I went to bed, and while I was basically in bed, things started to happen around the house. You could hear walking on the landing, loud footsteps coming from up above in the loft. We just heard something was even banging on the window as well, you know, on the top floor, something banging on the window. And I remember just lying in bed. Remember, Griff had just left early in the day. So it was just me and this girl on our own in this haunted location. Stuff's happening. And I remember just lying in bed thinking, I just do not want to be here now, because it's kicking off. And I was absolutely terrified. And you could hear these noises, and it was getting louder and louder. And at about 4 o'clock in the morning, something banged so loud in that house, it even woke up the next door neighbor. And she was like, she hasn't heard anything like that happen for a long time. And it kind of reinstalled a bit of faith, because, you know, when you go to these places, even though you know it is haunted, but when you're there, you know, you've been there for multiple days and nothing's happened, you start thinking, you start doubting yourself a bit. I'm like, is this place haunted? Well, it's got to be haunted, because we've caught so many good things in the past. But you just start questioning yourself. But when I was there at the night and then that all happened, I was like, yeah, this is why this house. This is why I do fear this house, because anything could happen at any time. I don't know if it was because of the other people that come in and maybe they just built up some energy. I don't know what happened, but whatever it did, I'm glad it happened, because that's a personal experience for me. So when I go into bed at my house, I can actually relax and chill out and think, thank God I'm not sleeping at that house, because you know what? You can't fully relax when you go and sleep in that. When you go to 30 East Drive, you can't relax.
I can imagine. I've just got a question come up here. Have you ever considered investigating Boleskine Manor? I'm not sure I've heard of that.
I haven't heard that. If that's in England, if that's in the UK, I'll take a look into it. You know, we've got such a massive history in England, and we get so many requests to do so many. Shrewsbury Prison, see, that's real close to us. That is, we actually nearly done Shrewsbury Prison. We was actually going to join up with a big group of people and go and investigate it, but it all kind of fell apart. You know, teams were falling out, like left, right, and centre. So we had to cancel that one. But I would love to do Shrewsbury Prison. But the problem with it costs so much money. To hire that location for one night, it's £1,500, which is close to about $3,000, roughly. That's how much it costs for one night to do this location. And, you know, we don't have that kind of money, to be honest. That's a lot of money to spend in a place. And the thing is, you could spend that amount of money to go into this location. And again, you get nothing, because you're not guaranteed. Now, if I was guaranteed the best night of my life and things are going to be moving genuinely, I would probably pay it. But you know, we could spend that money in better places. You know, we've been to abandoned locations, you know, abandoned locations, you know, you can just walk straight in, and we've had some incredible activity in there. So when you think of it, it's like, well, we could go to Shrewsbury Prison, spend, you know, a better half of, you know, £1,500, get absolutely nothing. Or we could go into this old, abandoned, haunted hospital, mental hospital, and get crazy activity, and it doesn't cost a penny.
Yeah.
So,
have you ever been physically ill from your experiences?
I haven't personally. A lot of people tell me to, because there's a lot of beliefs where people go in and say, you know, put protection on you, you know, like spiritual protection, and once you've finished, obviously cleanse yourself and all this other stuff. I don't do any of that, and I feel perfectly fine. I don't think that anything's followed me home. I've never really been ill on an investigation. I mean, there's times when I've been like feel really drained and tired, but that could be down to the fact, you know, we've travelled 4 hours to this location, and then we're up until 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I could just be drained and tired because I'm just naturally just tired. It doesn't have to be a paranormal experience, because a lot of people would like to throw that on you and go, oh, no, you know, you are being affected by spirit. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think it's just because I'm just literally dehydrated and I just need sleep. I think I'm sleep deprived. But again, people will just, they want to make it more scary, because I think there's a lot of people out there that want to believe so much. And so do I. And I want to put this out to people. It's like, listen, you know, it is real. But just because I feel a bit tired, or because I'm, you know, my eyes going to be blurry, doesn't mean I'm being attacked by a spirit. It could be something very genuine and just being sleep deprived. How about you, Jay? So I think Jason's felt sad a few times.
Well, the thing is I've had a few experiences where I've gone into locations, and I know that I've just felt an emotional block of hurt. And the thing, like people, like I've spoke to a medium, and if we believe in mediums, and if we believe that kind of aspect is, it's hard for me to say on that aspect as well, because of the way that I've had a medium talk to me and tell me stuff. But I mean, for myself, when I've walked into it was 39
to Grey Street,
and I went into that place, and I just felt a wall just suppression and just children crying. And I didn't know this place from anything, but then all of these thoughts come flooding to me. And I literally just felt an emotional drain on myself. Like I wanted to cry. Like there was tears in my eyes, and I've never had that kind of feeling before. And it was so like unknown for myself to get these feelings that I just thought, well, what the hell could that be?
It was weird. It was very weird.
That was part of my original question earlier. Was how much do you feel like you have to be open to this, and how much do you actually open yourself up to this? Are you aware of it? You know, do you think you have to be like open or closed off to experience or not experience these things?
Well, I think it can affect everyone in different ways. Like so like if you're more open to something, you're more likely to get an interaction. But then again, we could turn around and say because you're more open, you're more likely to accept anything as an interaction. So it's a double standard when we come across it in like the terms of ourselves. But for myself, I always go into an investigation with my head screwed on, and I'm just there, just trying to find the best evidence that I can. But like I said, I've walked into these locations and I've had this like burst of emotion, this burst of like feeling of hate, or I've been angry at some locations for completely no reason, like just angry. So I don't know if that's because I'm open within myself and they're affecting me because they know that I'm open. Because I don't think Steve's had them experiences.
But I haven't had any nothing like that.
Yeah, so it's like personally for myself, it's like I always go into an investigation with my head screwed on, just do the investigation, come away with the best evidence that I can. I don't ever think negative about something. I don't ever feel that I'm going to go in there and start getting upset because of my personal experiences at home, because I have none. So it's like when I get those rush of feelings, I can't explain where they come from. So like some people might say that I'm more open, or some people could say that it's just they're affecting me because I'm more open in the sense we've had all this talk about like whether they're affecting me because they think that I can help them or I'm more open so they can reflect themselves on me. There's lots of stuff behind it, but at the same time I always go in with the same attitude, and these experiences that I do have, they are personal experiences and I can't explain them, so I never put them across to anyone as definitely.
And you can't really portray it on a camera either, can you? You know, like personal feelings. It's again, you know, like when you're in these locations, and I know it's such like a cliche term, but when you say you can feel the chills, it's gone really cold. Now, a lot of the time, the temperature drops massive, and you can feel the cold, but the camera can't pick it up because the camera can't really measure temperature or anything like that. So people could just be thinking, "Oh, you're just saying the cliches because it's easy to kind of build tension just to say, oh my God, I actually feel the temperature dropping." We don't say that very often either, but we have said it before. And when it happens, it does scare me because I'm like, holy, because your body is the best piece of equipment you've got on it, you know, because the amount of senses that the human body's got, it's incredible. I just wish the camera could throw that into the living room as well. So when Griff's saying, oh, he's feeling angry or upset, I wish that could kind of affect the person as well. But a lot of the time, we do kind of just keep it to ourselves because some people just think, oh, here we go again. They're them saying, oh, he's feeling upset. Oh, the temperature's dropping. Of course it is. And I'm like, well, you're entitled to your opinion, you know, come and do yourself, you know, see what you can capture and see what you can see, and let us know.
I do have a question, but first we do have Jill Miller. She's waiting backstage. We're going to bring her on here shortly. She's actually going to be never mind. She's on now. Jill's actually got someone in the field going to go on live with us. Am I right about that, Jill?
I have my tech guy should be joining us shortly.
Okay. All right. Well, I have a question for Steve that, you mentioned this location is at 30 East Drive.
Yeah, that's the one.
and say you went in and you experienced like 60% of the time, how much do you think or feel that conditions contribute to that, like barometric pressure, temperature, humidity? Do you think that's a factor in this, or do you think it's just random?
In all honesty, we've been there in all types of weather. You can imagine thunderstorms, red hot sunny days, cloudy days, cold days, everything. And I think, and all times of the year as well. We've been January, March. I think, to be honest, we've been to that house every single month, and I think it's absolute random. It happens whenever it wants to happen. It makes no difference in if it's day, night, and it makes no difference. When Jason got hissed at 30 East Drive, this house, it was in the middle of summer. It was broad daylight. It was red hot, so hot, man. It's ridiculous. And that's why, because I used to believe before going to these investigations that the weather would improve activity. And it's like, oh, so when we go to a location and it's like raining and it's like a massive storm, I would be like, oh, yes, this is going to be great because now, spirits can feed off this energy or whatever. And we go there and nothing happens. And then it was like, oh, well, is that theory wrong? But then you go on a red hot day and then everything happens. But then you can go again on another thunderstorm and then everything happens again. So I've started to kind of lose hope. Not hope, but I start to not even think of, to try and take things into consideration of like temperature or anything like that. I just think whatever happens, happens. If it wants to show itself, it's going to show itself. And why it shows itself, it's a mystery, to say the least. Well, it's fascinating.
It does kind of lend more to the notion that there's some intelligence involved there, and it's as moody as anything else. It's either going to happen or it's not. Exactly. Jill Miller,
hey.
How nice of you to join us.
Thank
how
you.
Are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm good. How are you?
Excellent.
Hey,
so I got a summary of what you're going to be doing now. You want to kind of fill us in on what's going to be happening here?
When?
Like you have a guy in the field. Is he going to be doing like an interview, like a live type of thing?
Well, he's not in the field anymore. He's actually just got off, and he's trying to get online.
Okay.
And he's having trouble. We had an interview with a TV station today, so we're kind of tied up with that. And now he's having trouble with his computer. So, but we would welcome y'all on an investigation anytime for sure.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. You're safe over there. You're on the other side of the screen. You'll be good.
Yeah, Daniela's probably down for that. I mean, these gentlemen are professionals like you are at it. Daniela, she produces this show. She creates all this loveliness that you see here, and somehow has managed to cover my name over everybody else's. You see?
That's good, ain't it?
A little bit of blood right there over my name. Way to go.
Go on. Sorry, Kerry, go on.
I just repeated what you said. Working without a net. So it's all yours.
Okay. Well, Jill, tell us about some of your investigations and what you think about. Kind of, do you go with an attitude of trying to debunk, as much as you can?
We do. Actually, I've been watching the show, and we have a good bit in common with the Ouija brothers. It's all theory. There's no experts. Are we more experienced? Yes. Are we experts? No. Is there any such thing? No. And when I die, I want that book too. But the bad part is we're not going to be able to tell anybody about it because they're not going to believe it's real if we do. So, but when we go into investigations, it's kind of the same. We don't want to know any history of the investigation that we go into because we don't want to call people that if somebody says someone's at a house, we don't want to call that person because what if that person's crossed over? You're going to try to call them back. I mean, if That's what it all really is. You want to do that, and you don't want to make things happen and think into things because you know stuff. So we do the same thing, and we don't want. He made it. This is Paul. He's one of my tech guys. My tech guy here in Pensacola.
How you doing?
How's it going, man?
But so we kind of have the same opinion on that stuff. I do have some psychic abilities, and so I use that as well. And so I mean, there are some things that I can feel and see that others, you know, can't. And then somehow I try to get those confirmed. I don't chalk them up as fact to anyone. They can believe it or not. And if I can tell them something that nobody else knew, then you know that helps. But we kind of feel the same way. We're going in to help people. We do mostly homes. We do the fun stuff too. The fun stuff, which is the haunted places. I don't really like haunted. We use the word active. Places are active because we don't want to put the perception out there everything is bad, because it's not. And a lot of times, you know, like he said, it's nothing. We can go and it's nothing. They're humans. They just don't have a body anymore. They're not monkeys in a zoo. So they're not going to act on command. So, you know, half the time we don't catch things too. But we do it a lot to help families. You know, if people don't understand the paranormal and they think they're experiencing something, they're scared. You know, we don't want that. The world's a scary place. Your home should be your safe space. Your work office should be your safe space. So that's more why we do it, is to put those people's minds at ease. But we always try to find natural causes. You know, whether it's a stripped wire in the wall, or you know, whether the shadows are casting in a weird way because the way their light reflects in their house that they wouldn't naturally think of. So we do try to find any natural cause we can first.
We do the same thing. Most of us do in the Bigfoot world. We take the naturalistic approach, and as far as we possibly can, until we just can't take it anymore. But right. Jill, when it comes to the mediumship, how does that work with you? Do you hear voices? Is it a feeling that you could attribute to a specific message?
It's I'm sorry. It's both. It's not something that I try to do when I go anywhere. Because like I said, again, they're people just like we are. They just don't have bodies anymore. If there's a spirit somewhere and it feels comfortable with me, then it will communicate with me. I will either see it or it'll talk to me. If it doesn't, it won't. And I'm not going to try to get it to. That's just, if it comes naturally, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Sometimes I'll pick up things. Sometimes I don't pick up anything. Sometimes I'll pick up, like I'll, you know, ask somebody, I'll sit down somewhere. We did a house in Louisiana near New Orleans, and I sat down on a bed, and I couldn't sit there, and I had to get up and leave the room. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my chest, like who had a heart attack in there because I feel like I'm dying. And the woman was like, that was my dad. See, and we didn't know that, but I couldn't stay in the room because the pain was so bad in my, you know, my chest. So, sometimes it's a feeling, and sometimes I can hear things, and sometimes I can see things, but not always.
Well, I always wondered how that worked. So I appreciate you answering that question for me. Paul, question for you. What do you do specifically for the team there?
I am the AV tech, so I make sure all of our equipment is working correctly before we, you know, before we get on location, and while we're on location, if there's anything faulty, I try to figure out the quickest way to fix it and also investigate. Oh,
an important job. Yeah. So
everything up.
and I get super frustrated when I can't figure it out. Like it's not working.
See, I'm not tech savvy, and I have to figure out all these things on my own. Usually, I've got our producer for the travel show, Scott Owens, and I can't get a hold of him all the time. So it's a rough thing. But once you guys kind of put together one of your more hair-raising experiences for us, something that you've experienced together.
Okay.
Mull it over.
I'm trying to decide if I should talk about this, because we did a place here in Florida, Northwest Florida, and it was really, really bad. And you won't hear me say that, you know, people will call all the time in the middle of the night, oh, I got a demon in my house. I'm like, no, you don't. And they're like, oh, I do. And I'm like, no, you don't. Like 3 out of 100, or 1,000 cases, maybe something actually demonic, maybe bad, but it's not demonic. So people call and say that, but this place was bad. And if I was ever going to say there was a demon somewhere, something truly evil, this would be it. But we were talking about it today with the news station that interviewed us, and the cord in Paul's window, the cord started swinging really, really fast and hard. So I don't know that I want to talk about it too much, but
we could talk about it. I'm cool.
Yeah, and he'll be calling me to come over there when I leave here. It's 30 minutes away.
No, I'm all right.
No, it's I don't want to, because my main job, it's my team. My main job is safety and keeping my team safe. That's my main job. And he, kind of got addicted to this case, and we did. I had to remove him from it for a while and get him away from it. But it was a bad location. We felt like something was following us all the time. We didn't feel comfortable in there. The minute we pulled up, the minute we pulled in the driveway, I said, nobody goes in this house alone, period. I just felt really got bad vibes from it. And so we had a lot of things happening. EMF detectors were going off like crazy and then just stopped. And then we caught video of like a shadow that was following us that we didn't know that night until later. So that was probably one of our more serious ones, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the one in Louisiana that was on the dead files, that one was pretty too.
What was your angle on that, Paul? What was your experience there?
Well, I kind of knew something was bad when we got led to the house. And by that was Jill had an experience where before we went to go to there's a couple girls that lived in that house before, and they moved out, and we were going to go to their houses, check on them. And she was getting signs, if you want to say that, about
this time they had moved and they lived somewhere else, though.
Yeah, they moved to another place, but we basically got led to that house because she was asking me about a name, and I was like, I think that's the name of a street in this particular neighborhood. So we drove, and then we saw the street sign, and we went down the street, and then we ended up in front of this house, and we didn't even know that that's where they lived at. So, and she's like, I know this is it, and I could feel it coming off the house, and so we called them, and they're like, yeah, that's the house. So right there, and then I was like, okay, this is legit, this is serious. So yeah, like we were talking earlier today with the news anchor, that as soon as I walked in that house, it was like just so it was so energized, and there the whole time, had to stay on your toes, can't be in there by yourself, and we caught some really compelling things in there. And it was a bad house, really bad.
Well, we're not paranormal investigators, and we're not even Bigfoot hunters. We make films, but we go on location to do it. Mm-hmm. And I have experienced this weird energy, in the woods, in this one particular place in Nebraska, Indian Reservation. Linda and I both experienced it. And and by the way, Jill, you're talking about being a safety leader. Maybe you can give me some pointers and tips on how to keep my wife from running off into the woods by herself whenever.
I don't know. Stop me from running off into the woods too, but they can't. So I don't know how.
She's gonna give me a heart failure, I swear. But when you're doing this, this for all of you, you're studying the paranormal. That's a real concern, isn't it? Because you never know if it's something demonic or that can actually hurt you. I mean, you're putting yourself to the hazard. I mean, no one ever did anything great sitting on the couch. So I mean, you're out there doing it. Yeah. But that's got to be a concern. You're putting yourself to the hazard because demons can jack you up, from what I understand.
Yeah. You're right.
So what do you guys prepare for that? Let's get Steve and Griff on this one first. Do you guys prepare for the demonic? I mean, do you do anything spiritual, prayer, anything like that?
Well, I always see. We break every rule in the book. Unfortunately, like
not trying to bust out your ideology or anything.
No, it's fine. I mean, people tell us they say when you go to do a Ouija boards, do not leave the planchette on the board because you can leave a portal open. So I go, okay, then. Well, let's leave this planchette on the board. So we open up a portal and let's see what comes through to us because we're there to capture. We want to show and show that, people what actually happens. And most of the time, we leave these pieces of plastic on a piece of MDF board with a few letters on. Nothing happens from it. Nothing comes from it. I don't fear the Ouija board or anything at all. And again, mirrors as well. People talk about mirrors and mirrors being portals. I remember hearing one person say that they are afraid to look into a mirror because they're that petrified of it, because of the portal and what's going to come out of it. And we went to do a location where apparently there was an incubus, a demon, an incubus sex demon that, well, it explains itself, to be honest, that comes out of this mirror. And I was like, okay, then, well, if he comes out the mirror, why don't you just bin the mirror? Take the mirror to your local tip, get rid of it, and it's done with. And I'm like, oh, well, you can't do that. And I was like, why can't you do it? Who's writing these rules? Who's creating all this stuff? It's all a bit of hocus pocus, a lot of this stuff for me. And then they also say, well, you don't want two mirrors looking at each other because then you're drawing in the negative energy. And I'm like, who says this? Is it proven? I mean, I'm not saying it's all a load of rubbish, but it's also I kind of coming in from like a different point of view. It was like, well, who says it causes this negative energy? It's just a mirror. And if it does cause this negative energy, let's prove it. So let's put the mirrors together so we can stir up this negative energy and then see if something actually comes out or if something comes from it. Most of the time, nothing happens. So a lot of the time when we go to these places, I don't fear I do believe that there can be demons and you can get affected and things can happen. But I think there's so many rules in how you should do things and how you shouldn't do things. I just like to scrap that and throw it in the bin. And I was like, well, let's just start afresh. Because remember, nothing's proven. It's just all theories. And I know Griff likes to come a lot on the, I suppose not the spiritual side, but like the energy side. Because you believe in energy a lot more than I do, like with mirrors and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Where I don't really, because I haven't experienced anything bad coming out of a mirror. The only thing I've experienced bad from a mirror is in the morning when I see a bad reflection. But that's nothing paranormal. That's just me not getting ready. So, again, we don't actually do prayers or cleanse ourselves or anything like that.
You might not, but I mean,
I don't.
I think most people walk into a situation they don't even know what they're in for. Like me, I don't know what I'm walking into, so I don't know. It could be good, it could be bad. But if I know I'm gonna walk into somewhere I know that's bad, like proven there's bad things in there, then I'll prepare for that.
Yeah.
And you could walk in there, and just because people say there's something there may not be anything there. I mean, we did. I'm for whatever. I think that you need to do whatever makes you feel safe as a person, right? So I'm the same as you. No, we won't touch a Ouija board or go near one. That's simply because I don't understand them. That's all I want to do with them. I'm scared of it because I don't understand it. So I'm just going to stay away from it. So I just do. The mirrors and all that stuff. I agree with you on all that. I mean, who came up with all this stuff, and how do you know that these two mirrors do this? So I agree with that.
That's a lot of, to me, that's a lot of, confirmation bias. You can make two things, sync up if you want them to. Right. Marshall McLuhan said, I wouldn't have seen it if I didn't believe it. Yeah. He was looking for it. So, I mean, I think coincidence might have a lot to do with this. Not to say it's not paranormal, but someone goes in, puts these mirrors together, and something bad happens. It's automatically attributed to that, so they can say that. But I mean, we often try to tie it together. That's why I think that you guys, the best thing for you to do, like you do, you go in there blind. You're eliminating.
Try and connect.
Absolutely. You're eliminating that.
I'm big on energy too. So I believe I surround myself with people with positive energy. I don't have people with negative energy in my life because it does affect my moods and my energy. So energy does break off and attach. So that's kind of been proven. But I don't remember where I was going with that. But if you go in these expectations and you put enough energy into wanting something to happen between these two mirrors, something may happen, or you may perceive something to happen because you put so much energy into wanting it to happen. Right?
Yeah, to me, I think that's, and I'm not trying to take over here, I think that's as true with the Ouija board. I mean, I get that Parker Brothers makes it, and I don't really, put any stock or faith into it, but I can see how someone could see it as like a talisman. And in that respect, how much of your own self, your own energy are you lending to that to make, you know, to give whatever, you know, the power to make it happen? I'm not saying that's how it happens, but obviously it has happened before. You know,
well, I'd like to put some input on that because we work with a group called Paranormal Truth, and they did a documentary about the Ouija board. And me and Steve both believe that any interaction that you have to have with your hands, with yourself, is influenced interaction. So if you have to touch something physically for that to move, for a spirit to move it, then you have to question that straight away, because you shouldn't have to touch something for something to move if there's something paranormal there. So they did a documentary and they put sensors on people's hands, and they did all of this proper research into Ouija boards. And the Ouija board never moved once when people had these sensors on the hands, because it's a battle between yourself. It's a battle between your conscious and your subconscious. Yeah. So consciously, you're sitting there going, "This is not me moving this," but subconsciously, you're giving yourself the answers. But because you're making yourself believe so much that it's not you, that when these answers become so relevant to you, you won't even question that it isn't you. So this documentary that they did, which is the Ouija board Dicing with Death, that's what it's called, isn't it, Steve? Dicing with Death. It's called the Ouija board documentary Dicing with Death, and it's a really good documentary, and it kind of shows you the understanding between your own mind and the Ouija board within itself. So if that's why me and Steve now, we have taken anything that you have to physically bring and touch yourself with your own hands, we kind of disregard that now, because your own mind can be a battle within yourself, and we all know that you can have your struggles, but subconsciously and consciously you're saying no, it's not me, it's definitely not me, and you make yourself believe that much that it isn't you, that subconsciously you are giving yourself these answers and you believe.
Well, with your hands on it, there's always a question, and if there's always a question, then there's never an answer. You know,
I mean, like people talk about like the energy, you know, the energy comes through you onto the planchette and stuff. So what we've experimented and tried to do as well is all of it. We actually put all our hands around the edge of the Ouija board, and then we're just like, well, you know, if energy works this way, we're putting energy into the board. So can you now move the planchette? You know, can you kind of transfer? You know, can you do something with that? And it never happens. You know, these, you know, paranormal. You hear about these people being thrown about, objects being thrown, this and that, and I do believe it. But yet it can't move a little plastic planchette that's on a board.
Right.
It'll only move if our fingers on it. What, you know. People being thrown around here, man, allegedly. Surely it's going to throw a piece of plastic off, you know. But again, I think the Ouija board can work, but I think that's paranormal in itself. Like, I think it can work like about 5% of the time. I don't think every time you use a Ouija board, it's paranormal, or you are actually contacting a spirit. I do recommend, though, everyone to check out that documentary. It's so professionally done. A lot of effort was put into it, and it's such a fascinating watch, because since we worked on that documentary, we haven't even used the Ouija board ever since, and that come out a year and a half ago. And it's not because we fear it or are scared of it. It's just put this like new information. It's like it's kind of like, you know, dowsing rods and like, is it pendulums and stuff like that. I just don't trust any of it.
What was the name of the documentary?
It's called a Ouija Dicing with Death.
Write this down, Paul.
Ouija.
It is a really good documentary. It's done by a group called Paranormal Truth, and
it's absolutely incredible.
Because
we'll link it in the description.
My perception has been, you know, because of the way people think of it, I guess the thought of it is like, things can come through it. And
see, I was exactly the same as you. I feared the Ouija board for a long time, but the more I used it, the less I actually started to fear it, and the more I actually started to question it. I was like, okay, this devil name's just come through. So then we started to play tricks on it. It was like, okay, how many fingers are Griff holding behind his back? And it was coming through with the wrong answers. And I'm like, if you're meant to be this scary and powerful, you must know how many fingers Griff is holding behind his back. But we was getting it all wrong. So then I just started questioning it. It was like, is it just us? Like, is it just our... It's the Ida effect or something. Ida monitor effect, something like that. I think the more we used it, the more we just started to laugh at it and was like, you know what? This isn't as scary as I used to think it was. Because when I first used it, I was petrified and I was terrified. And when I went to bed, I used to think, what the hell have I done? Why have I messed with an Ouija board? Because I've seen the Hollywood films. My parents have told me never mess with one. And then I messed with one. And then he played on my mind. And then I'd done another one. And then I just kept doing them all the time. And then I started to think, you know what? They're not as scary as I used to think. And then this documentary come out, and it's just so insightful. And it's like, you know what, actually, thank God that there was a team that went out there to do a documentary like this. And I want a lot of people to go and watch it, because the Ouija board is like there's a lot of people fear that thing and very scared, and people's like, they will not touch that board. And I was like, well, sorry.
My perception's a little bit different because of it. And my thing is, you know, anytime I believe that anytime you are using any type of device or anything to call these things in, I believe that if we can call spirits in, and like we said, it's all theory, but if you can, then I don't care who you are, you don't have any control over what's coming through. If you open any kind of door whatsoever, you have no control over what's coming through. You can't control that. You're not in control when you're on an investigation. We're not, you know. And so my theory with my teams, we stay away from, not that I'm scared of the Ouija board. I don't want anything to do with it, but I do want to watch that. I'm curious now because I love those documentaries. But anything that mentally people are using as some type of portal or some type of door, we don't, you know, do that on our team or allow that, just because people are stupid and they do some stupid things. You know, it's no telling what they're going to do and try to, you know, and try to call things through. And I believe that you can call things through, but I also personally believe that you have no control over what comes through. So, thing. You know?
I had a friend once. He asked me if we use Ouija boards, and I said no. And he's like, "But you use a spirit box, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, what's the difference?" And I was like,
Well,
I mean,
exactly.
But here's the difference. You know, with the spirit box, we're not using it to call them through. We're just turning it on,
right?
Scan, giving them the means to communicate. If that's what it does, giving them the means. We don't use anything unless we catch like a full sentence. And even if we do, we say nothing. We say nothing. We sit there and don't say anything. Later, when we go back and listen to it, we'll try to see if that was actually something other than a station or whatever coming through, or pieces of a station. But we're just giving them some, you know, that white noise. We're just giving them
right. I understand that, but it just made me think when he said that.
That is why we never ever leave it on for longer than 10 minutes.
Daniela, did you have something?
You know,
I was going to put a question up, but it's kind of gone now.
Oh, well, while we kind of, go ahead.
Well, it was off Brent, Paranormal Portal, and he's asking if any of your equipment has ever gone down and you've put it down to being paranormal.
We have personally, because there's no way that like 4 or 5 different things that are fully charged are going to go dead in 5 minutes or 10 minutes.
That's one of the main things when batteries drain. Like
battery goes dead, no. If it goes dead quicker than it should, no. But if several pieces, we went to a theater in Lakeland and immediately the laptop died, just died. A camera died, and then another camera, the battery died. But the 2 of them that died never worked again. And this happened at the same time. Like they just stopped at the same time. So that, you know, I would say that it was a power surge, but it was a laptop and wasn't plugged in. And one of the cameras wasn't plugged in. It was just on battery. So it couldn't have been a power surge. So if we have several pieces that do it at one time, yeah. If we have one piece that just goes dead quick, no.
Well, I've got something for both teams here. Jill and Paul, we'll start with you guys. What's in the tool bag? What do you guys bring with you besides yourselves on an investigation?
We got cameras, our handheld cameras. We have our security cameras, our DVR set. We have voice recorders, EM pumps, anything that I've modified, like a SLS camera, anything that I like. Mainly just yeah. I mean, basically, what else? What we got? Jill?
Temperature gun, millimeters, K2 meters, EMF detectors, and mainly, that stuff we'll use it. We'll check the people. We're checking first and foremost. We're using that to check the people's electricity, the wiring in their walls and stuff. We want to make sure that it's not putting off something that's causing things. So the temperature gun, sometimes we use like a floor camera, a floor video for heat detection. That's
trigger objects.
Trigger objects. We bring old record players and play old albums and stuff to try to, go with the era of the time. And we'll bring not dolls, but little stuffed animals and things like that.
Okay. Ouija brothers, what's in the tool bag?
So when we actually first started, we were using pretty much the same as what the 18 Paranormal. We was all fully kitted out, but as time kind of went by, we found ourselves actually leaving the tools at home and just actually going out with just a camera and maybe just a spirit box that we would crack open every now and again. So we go very light nowadays because, again, the more we've done it, the more skeptical we've become even of the equipment. Not to say it doesn't work. I understand how the theories and everything about it and what they do. But for me, it's, I don't know. I think I just prefer having a camera and let's see what noises we can pick up and if we can pick up any kind of figures or anything like that. We haven't caught any shadow people, black figures, whatever you want to call them. But we've picked up lots of noises and things. So, yeah, we just
doors moving, doors knocking.
Yeah, we just take out cameras now. But yeah, we used to use the K2 meters, and we do throw up like a REM pod, which is like a device with an aerial, and if you get close to it, it'll alert you. Well, again, yeah, we just kind of like keep it in the corner, and we say if you want to interact with it, you can. But yeah, most of the time it's just old school investigating with a camera, and let's just walk around a creepy building, let's call out and see what we get.
Well, I think most teams use that ancillary, the extra stuff, just as maybe confirmation.
Well, yeah. We're doing people's homes. We did a home in Alabama here, and we were checking. The first thing we always do is check with the K2 meter and the EMF detector. Well, it turns out there was nothing paranormal in this house. They had some wire problems that were causing high EMFs, and the young girl, the daughter that was experiencing all this stuff, was living in this with high seeing things. It does affect your brain waves, and so there was nothing in the home. But so I told her, I said, but you need to get your wiring checked, because it's not really healthy for her to keep staying in this room with all this high, EMFs going through her body and stuff. And so she called me, I think it was like 2 months later or something like that. And she had gotten an electrician out there, and he told her that if she hadn't called them, her house would have burned down and they could have been in it. So that's why we continue to use like the K2 meters. We do a lot of people's homes. So, and now, when we go to these other places, we won't use that as much. We're big on, like y'all, big on the cameras and the voice recorders, the good old, this is what it is. That's, but when we're doing people's homes, we have to check other things too. We have to check plumbing, we have to check electricity. We have to, any problems that the house may have. Now.
We've got a story kind of like that. We got asked to do kind of like a cleansing at this family's house. Now, me and Griff, we're not cleansers, most of the time, like I say, I just go and point a camera and, we get what we get. But I knew another team that did these cleansings of these properties. So we went to this house, and it happened to this one boy, like the young son, that apparently he was seeing these things and getting affected all the time. And me and Griff spotted it as soon as we went into his bedroom. There was a load of black mold on his wall. Now, if any of you guys don't know, black mold can make you like hallucinate.
Oh yeah,
right.
And start messing you up big style. So then straight away, me and Jace were like, "It's only happening to the boy, isn't it?" And the lady's like, "Yeah." So I was like, "Well, he's got black mold in his bedroom. That's what's probably causing a lot of basically all this stuff that's happening."
Yeah.
I don't know if they've sorted it. Hopefully they fixed it and sorted it, because if they haven't, he's probably still hallucinating paranormal experiences.
Very
but like if you go into these abandoned locations and you see all this mold as well, you've got to take into consideration it can affect you massively. It's the same as like power lines. You know, if you go to a location, there's like a big power line. In England, we've got like these big. It's just a massive power station, isn't it, Jace? And they emit so much electricity, and if you go close to it, all your devices will start going crazy. So if it sets your devices crazy, imagine what it's doing to you, like mentally and physically. It's just not good for you.
Yeah, EMF causes hallucinations, will make you sick, and wire, electricity flowing through a circuit, through wire, even shielded wire, produces EMF, a certain level of it. And if that wire is coiled at all, it's just magnified. It turns into a magnet, electromagnetic. And like Jill was saying, these people probably had some coiled up wires in their attic, and this girl was hallucinating badly from it. I mean, it's I've been looking for questions for you guys.
But after that, they didn't have any activity, because there wasn't any activity. It was just this that was going on. There was nothing.
Yeah, we didn't catch anything.
And
but you still have tools to detect the problem,
right? Yeah. Tools, right? And that's why that was going back to that. That's why we still carry all these things. The temperature guns kind of can do the same thing. If you're checking temperatures and you check all your temperature spots, they could have a problem with hot water heaters and things like that are making noises. A hot water heater, if something's staying real hot and it shouldn't, in an area where water's running through, they could have a problem with their hot water heater, and that could be what they're hearing. So just things like that.
Going back to hallucinations, if you think about the Pendle witches, in those days, they weren't eating the finer foods, and there was a parasite that was growing on the wheat called ergot, and basically you can get hallucinations. So while the rich more refined foods, the poorer people were eating whatever on the wheat. It wasn't. And I just wonder if these hallucinations is what started all the Pendle witches' trouble.
Tripping on mushrooms.
Yeah.
My favorite part about Halloween is candy corn.
I make myself sick with that stuff. I've completely taken sugar away from this place, and it's
here. I think
if I ate some right now, I'd probably kill somebody.
Yeah. If I didn't have it, I would probably kill somebody.
There's some sugar in this, I think, even this green tea, but it's not a lot.
A tad, yeah.
What about I'm just going to go completely off it now, though, Steve. What about UFOs? Anything like that? Have you ever seen anything?
When I was a kid, I used to think that I saw UFOs, and I still I was infatuated with UFOs. I even have a big alien tattoo on my back, and I want to believe that I do believe that there's other life out there, but as far as little green men or the grays, I haven't seen it. So I just don't know. But I like to believe,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with Paul all day. I mean, I have never experienced anything, but I mean, I'd be pretty naive to say, we're all alone in this universe.
Right.
Absolutely crazy to think that.
That's what I say too. I'm like, we'd have to be so arrogant to say we're the only ones here. But I think most paranormal investigators that you speak with that are serious, and and they all have that skeptic side, so we can we keep reality, realistic things or whatever. I think they'll all tell you, or we'll all say, we have to see it to believe it, pretty much.
Yeah.
If we don't see it with our own eyes, because we've seen a lot, but still. But Paul, I was telling him about that investigation in LaPlace, Louisiana, that we did, and when we got home and we're listening, and this is just, and I'm not saying this made me believe in them, but when we got home and we're listening to the audio, there were some weird sounds, and there were some weird things happening at that house that didn't seem on the paranormal side. And I know you remember that. And the sounds were like these weird, and I can't even explain them. I can't even explain them. The sounds that were coming through.
Yeah.
It was so different than anything. And, I've done over 500 investigations at least. I've never heard anything like this. And we heard it a good bit. And then we caught some weird pictures, and the woman did too, of something flying. So I'm not saying, because I didn't see it, but there was one investigation when we listened back, there was some weird stuff going on there that was not like human supernatural.
Mm. I don't know. Did you manage to get that little bit of video, Jill?
Which one?
The one with the missing with the.
No, I don't know how to do this though.
This is interesting, Steve.
Let me send it to you. I don't know how to do that.
No, you can play it. We can share the screen.
Oh, that's right. Okay, let me go get it right quick, because I'm pretty. I saved it to my desktop. I did something smart, Paul. You proud of me? Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So, this is interesting because the show started for us in the UK at 1 o'clock, and we've been going an hour and a half, and it's only 1:30 now.
Well, and let me kind of tell you what happened here. We were setting up for an investigation, and this has been a while back. And so one of my investigators was going around the house to go lights out and to turn the cameras on. That's what he's doing. Well, this camera was already on. We didn't turn it on. You don't see anybody walk out or anything. It just was on. So he's walking, and if somebody can explain this to me, I would love it, because I've had so many professionals look at it and we can't figure it out. He's walking to the camera, and he trips on it. There's a dog kennel that he would have to go around to get to the camera, and he kind of trips on the edge of it. He never makes it to the camera, and then all of a sudden, he's coming from behind the camera. And there's just
time is just going normally.
The time, it's just this missing is strange. Okay, so what do I do?
But what he does is missing. It's just so strange. Yeah, if you bring it up.
Let me get it up right quick. Where is it at? Oh, there it is. Do I need to make it big or small? Does that matter?
You can make it big, and then you need to share the screen from here.
Okay. All right, and then just click on share screen.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you ready? Can y'all see it?
Yeah.
No,
you got it,
Oh, yeah.
We're on it now.
Okay. So this is, like I said, this is just a bedroom, and he's going around to turn the cameras on. Okay.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
And you notice the time just is just.
Yeah, the time.
Yeah.
Ow. Oops, scratch my back.
Yeah. So did you want me to play it again?
Yeah, just play it again.
What am I looking for?
Well, you're seeing that he doesn't get to the camera. You see, the next thing you see is the back of him, and the time is just going as normal.
Yeah, he's going to the camera. He doesn't get to it, and then he's coming from behind it. He never makes it to the camera. See that in that time, you see the time never stops or anything.
Right. So is that an hour count, or is that like a time count?
That's hour, Sorry, I'm not sure what to do here, Danielle.
Now what minute and second?
Okay, now I can see y'all. Oh, it went behind this.
If it's just a time count, then I mean the camera shut off, shut back on.
In seconds.
So that's hours, minutes, seconds.
Yeah, so he's like coming. Could y'all see the time on it?
Yeah, so the camera's still running. The time's still running, and the camera.
So that's the time, 1:29 a.m. or p.m. Correct?
That's a.m. It's in I think it was.
No, I think that's not the time. I think it's the time of the recording, the recording time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so the camera shut off for a second.
Actually, that's not the recording time. That's the time.
Okay. All right.
It was 1:29, 10 in the morning. 1 o'clock, 29 minutes and 10 seconds.
Well, then that is weird.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So if the other way around, it's just the camera shutting off and back on again. As far as
we always have it. We always have the date and the time on our film, so we know, so we can take it to another camera. Because if you don't have them set that way, then you can't do comparisons with another camera.
No, that's usually what's on there is the actual time.
Yeah.
Of day.
Right. So it was 1:29, and that was a.m. That had to be a.m. So he was.
So what does that mean?
I think that was 1:29 a.m. in the morning. So I think what we had done, we had that camera in a different room, and we heard something fall. And when we went into that room, we saw that you really weren't going to catch anything. The room was kind of too small, and the camera wasn't really showing anything. So we had moved it to this room. And then he came in there to look at the monitor and said, "Hey, is this good? And do you like the placement of it or whatever?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's showing pretty good, and just turn it on." So he was going in there to flip it on.
Yeah, it kind of looked like an episode of Hoarders. I even think he stepped toe on something on the ground there too.
There was a kennel.
Oh, okay. So there was stuff. So there was stuff everywhere, obviously.
Yeah, he had to step around stuff, but it's like he's headed to the camera, and then all of a sudden he's coming from behind it, and that's just
that's.
I think people look at it, and what happens within the same second. Now there's tenths of a second that you can't see, but it happens within the same second. It's like just strange,
That is strange. What opinion here? What would cause that? Time slip.
It's technology, isn't it? I mean, did the video somehow glitch out? But like you said, then there's the time, isn't that? It could be anything. It could be anything. It could be nothing. And I think you've done the right thing. Just let people make up their own minds and see what they think.
We just like to hear people's opinions. We've sent it to professionals and stuff. Because it's not a digital camera. It's the 8mm. It's the old 8mm camera, so it's not digital. And we would pull them off with a program, but it was 8mm camera. So we've taken the camera with the tape and everything. We have the actual tape that we keep. We've taken it to people and just say, "Hey, what do you think? Check and tell us what happened. What do you think happened?" And we just let people.
Did we lose Griff?
Yeah, I think he's run out of data because he's been streaming off his. Oh, he said his phone's died, but yeah, he said he's running out of data because he's been on his mobile phone. So
I know it's late for you guys. We appreciate you staying up late with us for sure.
That's all good, man. But like with technology, you can get glitches and problems, all the time. Unfortunately, I mean, I've had like glitches like that when I've recorded, and it's kind of like it's skipped like a few seconds, and then it's carried on, and it's made no sense to me. But with everything getting like compressed down, like with SD cards and, I mean, we've had batteries die on us, but then, we are in a location where it's freezing cold, and they say temperature can affect your battery life in locations. And, like with technical problems like that, I always just put it down to just technology dying on us. You know what I mean? Technology is technology. But it could be paranormal, It could be the gremlins at work. It could be the spirit at work. What they love.
Who knows? Yeah. Exactly. I mean, the best thing about it, I think it was before, as you can see, it was kind of old. I think back in 2012 or something. But the best thing about it is it's 8mm. So we don't have to worry about like the SD cards, pixels, and things like that. So it's 8mm, and we don't lose any time. on the time,
Right. Can't be that then.
Doesn't change.
So here's another question. Was there anything else going on in this place?
There was some things going on. We like I said, we had in that one small room and something got knocked over and nobody was in the room, but the room was so small that we just didn't, wouldn't make a big deal, because we could have, maybe somebody stood up and bounced or bumped the wall. I don't know, because you know what happened when we heard it, but we caught some EVPs and a shadow where what we believe to be an Indian spirit. It was in big time Indian territory, Native American Indian territory. So we did catch some things like that, and one camera got knocked down. So, but like I said, with that, we didn't realize that it had gotten knocked down to go back and be able to, until we got, till later, to go back and see what everybody was doing at that time. Did somebody hit something, whatever, might trip on the wire and pull it down, so, but we did get some EVPs and things. And the woman that owns that house now, she joined my team and has a team in South Carolina, a sister team now.
Cool.
Nice one.
You're going to be down in Louisiana at Carl and Rachel Gocho's, aren't you, in November, doing
for a week
doing an investigation there.
Yes.
That started out as possible Bigfoot, and now seems to be other stuff. You found other stuff going on there.
Yeah, and I found some I don't know, they're just like, it's strange because they've got this camera, the security camera with theirs has the audio built in, Paul. I had a chance to go, we didn't get a chance to go over this a whole lot today because we had the interview with the news station, but it's on top of the house, or it's up, under the awning of their house, the back porch. And like, we've heard like voices right up against it, in a strange place for that, close to the house. And then we've caught some, and I'm not an orb person, I've talked to Daniela about this before. We're not orb people. It's moisture, it's dew, it's something. I mean, everybody's like, I want you to send me this picture with all these orbs. I want you to look at it. I'm going, okay. Another picture with moisture all over it or something or whatever. So we're not big. We're not into orbs, but we do believe that light anomalies.
Exactly the same.
Right. So we found one on Carl and Rachel's video that it was one of the strangest ones I've seen. It had this specific flight pattern, and it showed up within frame and disappeared within frame. It didn't come from out of frame.
Don't tell me that.
Why?
I could play that.
Orbs are easing their way into the Bigfoot world, and
well, it's strange because, and if you look at, I've been looking at a lot because I've been trying to come up with different ideas and different things we can try, to get something. And Andy's asking, did we find anything in Carl's last video with the howler? I have my video guy. He kind of did some work on it, and I didn't really like what he did. So he's like redoing it. So we'll know more about that soon. But so I've been trying to do a lot of research so I can, have different things to try when we go and stuff like that. And it seems that there have been anomalies in other reported supposed Bigfoot videos. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Well, I'm not saying don't say that because I think it's hogwash. I'm saying don't say that because I don't want to believe that that's what's going on.
Well, I know, but it's like, I don't know. I think that somehow that energy is playing a part in this somehow.
They've got some weird stuff going on there.
They really do. And I'm anxious to go sort it out and see what I can find. I'm going to be sleeping outside on the hammock.
That makes one of us.
With an electric blanket because it's going to be cold for me because I'm from Louisiana and I don't like the cold. But I'm going to be sleeping outside on the hammock and we're going to go live every night. And I'm with all the video that we've looked at, something's going on out there for sure.
Let's have a look at this. We'll just play this little video that's been.
Is it light anomaly?
For Steve, what was originally recorded was the noise, this howling noise, which isn't the dogs. So I'll play it anyway, and then
Is that the one with the lighting on it? Yeah.
Well, I saw that.
Leave it paused for just a second. Actually, we have a different one with a light anomaly that's very different. But here's the thing on this video. When that howling starts, which is not their dog, because you can hear what their dog sounds like, right?
That's weird sounding.
It's weird. And not only that, but the minute that howling starts, that he's got, what he has is he has a pair of jeans tied on a rope for the dogs to play with them.
And I saw it moving.
Okay. When that howling starts, those jeans start swaying. Now the leaves aren't moving. Nothing else is moving, but these jeans start swaying when that howling starts. When it stops, they stop moving. So for me, that's like, that's kind of strange. I want to figure out what that is, because how can a howling sound, unless it's projecting this,
Well, just play it, and then they can see everything. It's only a minute and a half long.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something in the tree, for sure.
Watch now. This orb.
It's a bug.
Yeah, that one's not a bug.
No, when you see it from the other angle,
yeah,
it's like a mass almost.
Yeah, bugs have mass.
Watch now as it goes. That looks wide for a bug.
I mean, that's the first thing I thought whenever I saw it go by. If there's a possum up in that tree, I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
And that's what I want to see. I mean, but in my mind, I have to try to, reconcile that this possum moving the minute wherever this thing is that's howling. And if research dog behavior, which I do, I train dogs.
That's the weird part.
In the dog world, when a dog is howling, dogs will howl. That's what they do. They don't start whining and back away. These dogs start, and these are big dogs. At first they're barking, but when that howling starts, a dog's instinct, because it's got another dog there with it, it's got its pack, is to howl back for their communication. The dog stops barking, even backs up, and you can hear the dog whining. And that's not normal behavior for a dog. Not if it was a dog that was making the howling sound.
Was that the only dog they have?
What started it?
They have another dog, and that's the one you can hear in the background that's kind of whining the whole time.
Okay.
The sound.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't impersonate a dog very well, but that's the sound that dog's making.
That's Bella. Tori is the big one you can see there. Now, but what starts it? You hear that whistle, that strange, bizarre whistle. And I think that's what they're howling at, is that. It's just hurting their ears. That's just because that starts. And then the howling, commences. I think the other dog, or whatever that is, howling, that's not them, is being affected by that. Whatever that weird, but see, that's, to me, that's the weird part, is that whistle is just so out of place. I've never heard anything like that before. It almost sounds like a horse neighing, but it's a whistle.
Yeah, and I've tried to pull up. I've pulled up several different species of animals. I rehabilitate animals. I train animals. I work with wild animals. I've rehabilitated alligators and crocodiles and snakes and raccoons and possums and skunks and you name it. So I've been still researching sounds of owls and all different kinds of animals to see if I can find one that sounds similar. That's located in North America in that area, and I haven't found anything so far. So that's what.
I got a basset hound, because I had a basset hound that sounded similar to that. As a matter of fact, I used to call him Hoop because he wouldn't bark; he would just go Hoop, Hoop.
Yeah, there's I had a neighbor that had a basset hound.
It was. I mean, it wasn't that powerful. That's what I'm not saying that's a dog, but what I'm saying is whatever that is, I believe is howling because of that whistle hurting their ears.
Might be.
That's just what I think. I could be.
But and the whistle is kind of strange too.
It's the strangest part of the whole thing to me.
Yeah, I mean, like what
heard it before.
Where's that? Yeah, and Carl and Rachel have other videos where you can hear it too.
Yeah, we put it in their documentary.
And then there's one. They have a new, a very recent video that they've given to us that Ross is working on. Ross is my tech guy and videographer. He's from Central Florida. He's in the Central Florida team. And with that one, there's literally a light anomaly that I can't remember exactly what it does, but it comes from nowhere and it has a specific pattern to go somewhere. And then it turns around and starts going back in a different direction and then just goes away within the frame. For me, that's the biggest thing. If we ever have a light anomaly that comes from out of frame or leaves the frame, we throw it out. It's dust. Right. It's dust. Unless it appears in frame and disappears in frame, it's dust to us.
Mike, Larry, I don't think it's a dog whistle because we can hear it. You know, it's something else. And whatever it is, they have got Sasquatch coming there. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah. Carl's seen them. We've seen the evidence for it. Now, is it them doing that crazy whistle? You know, just stirring the crap?
That's what I'm hoping to find out.
Well, I hope you do.
Yep, and I'm gonna make him go walking down that coulee. He don't want to do it.
I don't blame him.
But and I just want to say something right quick. Measy, people are asking Measy B that's watching. She's another one of my investigators.
Okay.
So she's answering some of the questions. So that just so y'all know, she's one of my lead investigators. That's who she is. But she's at work with her real job. You know, her job that pays money, because these don't pay money. You know, these are free jobs that we don't make any money on. So she's at her paying job right now. But
don't we know it?
Yeah, but that's so we're gonna go down, walk down that coulee, and see where it goes. I'm from the swamps, Louisiana too. Carl and I grew up in the same subdivision from the time we were 7 years old. Went to high school, all our school years together. So when he called me about that, I know Carl. I've known him 40-something years, you know. And he's not the type to jump on a bandwagon or just believe in anything. If he's the ultimate skeptic, you know. And when he called me and we were talking, I'm like, now if he's saying all this stuff, something's not right. So I asked him to send me some stuff, and I'm like, just let me look at it. And then we decided for me to come, because he's not the type to just do that. He had to truly experience something and believe it.
There's no turning back for Carl. Carl has seen it. Carl doesn't have the luxury of believing in anything anymore.
Right.
He's sunk. He's I know, because I'm there with him.
Right. But that's who he was before. He was a very skeptical person. So when he believed it and saw something, then I believed him, you know. Yeah,
man, we drove all the way down there because, I talked to him on the phone. He called us. He saw this footprint, the 17-inch footprint on his back porch, December 4th. He called us on the 5th.
Yeah.
And then I told him to go look for more. He found 5 more in the yard that he didn't even know were there, where they'd actually come through. And that was along with everything else. But what they've collected, the most convincing stuff they've collected since we left there.
Yeah.
They had some good stuff, but the popping over the fence.
Well, that's why I'm going when I'm going. So I'll be there the week of December the 4th, the year anniversary.
Ooh. Okay. Hope that means something.
And, you know,
Where we stand, we're coming up on the 2-hour mark. Do we have any questions before we call it a night? Anybody?
Much done.
I'd like to say thank you to, is it Stu or Steve?
Steve. Yeah, okay. It's Steve.
Okay. I want to say thank you for allowing us to share this time with you.
That's cool.
I can't wait to check out your channel. Seems like a lot of your beliefs are the same as ours. We don't jump on bandwagons and believe everything is paranormal, and you know, so we're kind of like that too. And
skeptic believers.
Really good video quality. I have to say, I just watched the beginning of one while they were talking earlier, and it's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, we've only been doing it for about 2 years. Well, just a bit over 2 years. So it's been a massive learning experience. Because when we first started doing this, we were just doing it for a bit of fun. You know, we didn't understand how the equipment really worked. You know, it was just trial and error. Even filmmaking as well, just trial and error. I mean, I knew how to kind of edit videos together a tiny bit, but it's been fun. You know, we've grown so much over the 2 years, and I'm actually quite shocked, to be honest, because there's people that have been doing it for a lot longer than me, and they're just using like just flimsy techniques, which, you know, I kind of figured out in the first few months of doing it that you should actually really be doing it like this. I'll take one example. There's we actually made a video on an EVP recorder, and people was using these EVPs on the lowest bitrate quality, and they would be walking around. So they'd be recording while moving around, and you know, coat shuffling. It's picking up all these noises, and then playing it to everyone. And people are calling these investigators the EVP king, and oh my EVP magnet, and all this other stuff. When really he was just capturing his coat. And obviously, when it's on such low bit rate, it does sound demonic. It sounds like a demon's coming through, but it's because the audio quality is so bad.
Their stomach is growling, and they're saying, growl. No, you were hungry. Your stomach is growling,
So it's been an experience, to be honest, doing this, but I do enjoy it. So thank you for saying, you know, the video, the quality and the editing and everything's all good.
Well, I mean, I've been editing as long as you have, and I don't edit like that. So it's it means something to me, because I see that the work that you're putting in. Now, I believe that we have captured an EVP. I want all of you guys to hear it. It's on our 9th episode, and it was in one of those places we were feeling that crazy energy. The only place I've ever felt anything like that, Omaha Reservation. It's the 38-minute mark. You'll see. I'll make a whole big deal out of it in the in the show itself. But I mean, it's not just a voice. It's a full sentence in a Native American voice. It's crazy what it is, but you can tell it's none of us, and it sounds like it's in a can and just sounds electronic. I think it's an EVP, just what I believe, but I want you guys to hear it and tell me what you think about it anyway.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Well,
you didn't hear it at the time, right?
No, not until I was editing the show.
You're listening? Okay.
Yeah, it cost me like 4 hours trying to figure out how to move forward with this. Do I put this in there or not? And I finally just said, you know, forget it. I'll just say what happened and what I heard, because it's that good. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's syllables and syntax. It's got form to it. It's a language. It's got inflection. It's crazy to me.
Which show is it on? Which show is it on?
It's on our 9th episode of Bigfoot Odyssey.
9th episode. Okay.
Yeah. A risk watching. Yeah. We were with the Omaha Indians, and this is a Native American voice that comes through there.
Did you take it to a Native American to find out what it was saying?
There was a Native American with us. All right, I'm gonna tell you what it says. It says, Navagata Gavi Sheo Iho. Okay.
Okay.
Sheo means to shed hair. Gata is lanolin. Those were the two things you could pull out of it: lanolin, grease, whatever. Right. Well, we were right in the middle of putting up a hair trap.
That's what I was wondering. Were you doing anything that coincided with what? Yeah, see.
Using grease.
Yeah. Wow.
Tape onto this tree backwards and then putting grease up here, and this thing uses two words that he recognized, which was sheo, which means to shed hair, and gata,
Yeah.
which is essentially grease.
Wow.
He said lanolin, but that's to me that's too close.
Yeah, well, that's kind of, they didn't have grease back then.
Right. So it was lanolin, and the only guy that could speak a Native American voice is 20 feet away. You can tell it's not him. It just sounds like it's somebody talking into a Pringles can or a coffee can, or it actually sounds like they're yelling.
Well, if he can only understand 2 or 3 words out of it, he definitely can't speak it like that. If he was just able to pull a couple words out.
Yeah, well, he didn't. The rest of it, he didn't recognize.
Oh, wow.
Maybe it was some ancient,
older. Yeah.
Yeah, but I want you guys to hear it and tell me what you think about it anyway. So, all right. Well, I think we have come to the end of our show here. I want to thank everybody for coming on. Steve, tell
Griff.
Yeah, tell him thank you unless he's listening. Thank you, Griff. We appreciate you guys coming on, staying up so late, especially. I know you guys started out at 1 a.m. over there, even though you got that hour back. I know doesn't help being tired, does it? And Jill and Paul, thank you guys so much for coming on. We appreciate it.
We appreciate you having us.
Thank you.
Tomorrow night, 7:00 p.m. Central. Who we got?
Who have we got? I forgot.
You wait.
Dixie Cryptid, I think.
Is it Dixie Cryptid? Yes, we've got Cam Buckner and Kat. Dixie Cryptid's going to be on, and he's going to be telling some ghost stories. So you guys join us tomorrow night, 7:00 p.m. Central, and we'll see you then. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thanks.
Bye. Bye-bye.
See you later.